So we got the Challenger right here. We're gonna do the airbag installation. So the first step is take off the wheels. First thing we're gonna do is take out the sway bar end leak, which is right here. So I got a crescent wrench right here. Just gonna snug that down. Then I got a 10 mil. I'm just gonna loosen this. Take the nut out. Sway bar should come off. So now we're gonna take the coilover off the lower control arm, which is gonna be right here. Take the bolt out. So now it should be loose off from the bottom. There's gonna be 3 bolts that are on the top. To access the final 3 bolts, there's a top hat cover. I usually just get a rag and then pry it up. That exposes it. You'll see the 3 bolts right here. 1, 2, and 3. That's holding the top hat together. That's all we need to take off. The size for that is gonna be a size 13. So I like to grab it from the bottom and take it off. Now that the top 3 bolts are out, everything should actually just come out. You're just gonna have to maneuver it out. All right. Got it out. All right, so right here, how we have this set up is the old coilover we took off right here. And we got the new bag. So what we did was just set the height the same from top to bottom, since we already had the coilover height dialed in. And then we made sure we attach the fitting right here. When you attach the fitting, you want to make sure you use some good thread sealant. That'll make sure you have minimal leaks, if any, probably none, hoping for none. Now we're gonna get the bags in. The way it came out is the way it goes back in. So there's 2 in the back that line up in the back. Try to line that up, and then this should line up. I usually like to get the top in first, and then I'll turn the bottom to align the sway bar. Alright, so everything's in on the bottom. Now we can lift this up, get it in the hole, grab 1 nut, and just slightly screw it on so it's holding onto the top. So we can just attach the nuts for now, hand tighten, until we get the bottom in. Just enough so it stays. Our lower control arm bolt in. Go ahead, you may need a jack if you don't have enough strength. It's gonna be right here, but I'm able to lift it up. Wiggle the bolt in. We can go ahead and tighten that down. Now we're gonna get the sway bar end link in, which is gonna be right here. So if this one spins, again, while you're tightening it, you may need to bring out the crescent wrench again, or a size 21 wrench and a 10 mil, and tighten that up that way. All right, so that's tight now. All right, so the bottom is pretty much tightened. What I like to do is actually position the bag, the fitting right here, I like to turn it, position it towards the back right here. So it's just gonna be sitting in the back, so it's further away from the wheel. Less chances of the airline rubbing. Can lock the perches in. You're gonna wanna make sure that this height adjustment right here, matches up with the other side. Now that the bottom is tightened, we're just gonna tighten up the top. So we got the dampeners right here. There's gonna be a little grommet. You stick that grommet in to here. And you're able to stick the dampener adjuster in. So that's pretty much it for the front. Just make sure all the bolts are tightened. After you're done with dampening the top, you can throw that cover back on. After, you always want to double check that the height from here is the same on the other side. If not, you're just gonna have unevenness, or your car is just gonna be slanted. Okay, so now we're getting started on the rears. The first thing we're gonna do is remove the exhaust, or just loosen it for now, because there's this bolt right here that needs to come off, and it's gonna hit the exhaust. Alright, so we're gonna remove this nut right here, which should be a size 18. Gonna hold the other side with a crescent wrench. You can leave the bolt there. Just take the nut out. We're also gonna do the same for this. Gonna take the nut off, leave the bolts there. So now we're gonna take off the struts. With the nut off, you should be able to take it off. You just need to take the bolt out. And I'm gonna just run the lower control bolt on for the strut out. Now there should be 2 more bolts on the top. They are size 16s. Should be able to take it out now. So now we just need to take out the lower control arm bolt that's in the back, but we need to release all the tension from that spring. To release all the tension, we're gonna slide a jack under onto the lower control arm, jack it up slightly, and I'm gonna go ahead and just drive that bolt out for the lower control arm that's sitting in the back. So now that's out, go ahead, drop the jack slowly. Spring should drop, everything should drop. So the spring should be out now. Should be able to take it out from the top. And now it's ready for bags. All right, so we got the bags right here for the rear. Should look like this. We got the fitting on there right here, along with the sealant, thread sealant. Make sure you put that thread sealant or else you're gonna have leaks. To put on this fitting, there should be 2 Allen keys right here. You're gonna have to take that off first and throw the fittings on. Then you can toss this back on. To toss the bags back onto the lower control arms, there should be a bolt right here that's on the top. And there's also gonna be a washer. You're gonna drop that washer. Washer should come out. And this is how we're gonna install it for now. This is gonna be installed after. So now we're gonna throw the bags in. toss them in. Just like that. Fittings should be pointing outside towards the car, or outside the car, towards the wheels. We can grab the bolt. I'm gonna throw the jack back down there again onto the lower control arm. Then we're also gonna guide this up. Now we're just gonna try to get the lower control arm to line up in the back, just to slide the bolt in. The holes do not line up. You're gonna need to get a pry bar, pry it in the middle, and try to get it to line up. Put on the top hat bolts. That should be in. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten up the lower control arm bolts now. Now you can grab your washer and that nut that we put out for later. It's gonna go under here in the lower control arm. Alright, after that, you're just gonna tighten it. That washer and that nut should attach to the bags from under, and the lower control arm should look something similar to that. Then you're just gonna tighten that down and it's gonna secure the bag in place. So the rears are pretty much done. After you tighten up these two bolts for the lower control arm, tighten up the bags on the bottom, tighten up the two top hats. After, you're gonna wanna make sure that this height right here matches with the other side. If not, then you may have uneven pressures. So we already ran the right side airline from the front. It looks something like this, and it just goes all the way to the back. So it's coming, it's just riding this side. Then it goes over the rear subframe to the back, over everything, and out right here. We haven't ran into the trunk yet. Alright, we're gonna take off this cover right here first. We're gonna run the left side airline, front airline. Just a couple clips you gotta undo. After, we're gonna run this airline up into here, over that clip. So to secure this, I have some cable clamps right here. Use a screw, and we're just gonna clamp it down. So those are self-tapping screws, but I still like to make a little small hole, or drill a small hole. Put the cable clamp over, put the screw in. Now it's holding. Make sure you leave enough slack for your front bags. So what I'm gonna do now is just route it along here. I'm gonna create some holes first with my drill to make my tapping easier, or to make my self-tapping screws going easier. Another one right here. Okay, we're gonna take off this cover right here. Finish running the airlines from the front. 3 clips back here. should be able to drill a couple more holes right here for the airline. The front line is almost done being ran. There's just a couple obstacles that we gotta run over. Or, yeah, go over. Mostly the subframe right here. It's mostly by feel. Okay, so the way I route this is I follow this e-brake line right here, e-brake cable. I'll follow it over. It's gonna go over the subframe. Make sure that it's not binding on anything. So running from here all the way to following this e-brake cable, you're gonna follow it through here, over this subframe. It should go over the gas tank right here. And then I'll put it through here. That's pretty much ran. Well, then it's gonna go over through here again. To the other side of the subframe. Over the subframe, make sure it's not binding on anything. It's gonna go over. Keeps going over the subframe. And it's gonna go towards the trunk pan of the subframe. And it's gonna come out near the trunk pan. That's pretty much ran for the front. We just have to find the entrance into the trunk pan, which we may have to drill a hole. So with the trunk, with everything removed from the trunk, we ended up drilling a hole right here on the top, right under this, in the trunk pan, just so we can route the airline holes in. So these are the two fronts, we still gotta route the rears. So for the rear airlines, what I pretty much did was run it, how I'm gonna run it, it's gonna run it like this, facing towards this way. It's gonna get tucked in into the subframe on top, and it's gonna go inside the trunk pan, in between right there, into the car. Okay, so right now we're just gonna work on a little bit of the wiring. You can wire it, you can self-manage it how you want. So basically this is the main controller harness. You're gonna have your positive, which will go to your positive on the battery right here. Then you're gonna have your black cable, which is your negative. That's gonna go to your negative right here. You're gonna have one more long wire, which is your accessory wire. You wanna find a 12-volt source that when you key on the vehicle, it turns on. If you have it straight to the battery, it's gonna stay on 24/7. So for instance, like a cigarette lighter, usually when you turn the key on, it'll supply 12 volts. So you wanna find somewhere where it supplies 12 volts with key on. Okay, so this is the compressor harness right here. It's long, thick red wire. It has a relay on it. Should have a whole bunch of connectors. We're gonna worry about this end right here. It's gonna come separate from where the other piece goes. What you wanna do is cut this to the length you need it to. And then you're gonna attach this to the positive of your battery right here. So we pretty much have everything ran already for power wise. We just have one more wire, which would be the controller wire, which would run all the way to the front. It has a mini USB on it. And then this plug, that would plug into the manifold right here. The manifold is gonna have two So straight from this, it's gonna plug into the white one. The coffee one plugs into the main harness, which we wired up already. So right now we're running the remote wire, or the controller wire, which is just one wire. I ended up taking that panel off right there, then ran it all the way down. So now all I'm gonna do is just tuck all the wires, just like this, just gonna go under. Not even taking any panels out. So there's gonna be a seat belt right here. Make sure that you go under it and pretty much just follow everything all the way to the back. We have the thick red wire attached to the positive is gonna be this plug right here, which is for the compressor, which we haven't attached yet. After you plug that in, it's gonna have a whole bunch of relays, or it's gonna go to a relay right here that should connect with a whole bunch of connectors. They're pretty much all labeled on the end, so it's all self-explanatory. And those cables lead from the other positive end from the main harness for the manifold, and it's also gonna have some connectors. The manifold cable is also gonna have a ground that you would need to route, which I routed to right here. I ran it around the whole battery to the back. Right here, you can see the black wire right here along with the remote wire. So I ran that down. So there's a ground right here that I ended up grounding it to. And for the fuse for the 12 amp remote, yeah, so there's a fuse box right next to the battery. This is just a temporary setup until I get a piggyback fuse. But there's a 20 amp fuse right here that we found that only turns on when the key is on. So we just routed that there. We're just adding a second compressor. It's the same as your first compressor, same wiring. It's gonna look like this. It'll have the relay with all the connections. And then this is gonna be your pump. It'll say pump right here. This is your communication wire, which connects to these right here. This is gonna go to the main battery, this main plug right here. I can show you how to wire that up. You can just take off the connector. I like to twist it. It's gonna come with this also. This is your fuse. It's pretty much gonna go like this. But first, slip on your heat shrink so you could heat shrink it after. I like to cut off a little excess. So then we're gonna put it in, and then we're gonna crimp it down. Give it a little tug test. Should be good. Slide that up, and we're gonna heat shrink that. And then you should have the heat shrink so there's no exposed connectors, so you don't have a short. You're gonna have your fuse. We can go ahead and wire that up now. So we can just drop this right here, leave that there. Run this wire behind all this, and it's gonna go into here. Take that cover off, and we're just gonna plug it into here. All right, so all we're gonna do is to connect it. It's just gonna have one connection that we put on for the fuse. You're just gonna take out the battery nut. Right here, size 10. All right, now that we got that off, we're just gonna attach this to right here, and we're gonna put the nut back on. With that tightened, you can go ahead and attach a fuse. You can attach the fuse later if you want, after you're done with the other wiring, but I'm gonna go ahead and just attach it now. Go ahead and close it. Then you can tuck this back down into here. Oh, that should be good right there. Go ahead and toss this cover back on. So you're gonna have the other end right here, which will have all these connectors. You're gonna have your pump, but you're gonna wanna connect these right here, which should be a piggyback from your other one. All the colors pretty much just match up together. And there's also little tags on them that have what they're for. I say what they're for. I'm just gonna leave this tucked back here. Pretty much ready. These are gonna be for your pump. So we have everything pretty much mocked up for the wiring. We're just gonna slide in the tray now. So I have this hole right here. We're gonna get all the air lines and just run them through that hole. So now that's in. We're just gonna have to find the pump harness, and it's gonna connect to the compressor, and we're gonna need to find the ground. Okay, so with this back in, we ran the air lines to the manifold, and then we have 4 lines running to the tank, which one is gonna be, or 2 is gonna be for the compressor, and then 2 is gonna be for the manifold. The compressor harness, or the compressor wire, we had the positive. It should only be 2 wires. We have the positive going to the wire we ran from here, and then the negative is actually going to right here on the chassis. Not sure if you can see that. So that's pretty much it for this part. That's pretty much it in general. We got the tank right here. We're pretty much done.
So right now I'm going to show you how to connect your controller to your phone via the app and Bluetooth. So first off, you need the Vicrez app. So download the Vicrez app, and as soon as you click on it, it should say scanning devices. And after that, it will pop up a list of devices that you can connect to. So first off, you need to go to your controller right here. You need to press the front and rear button at the same time for 2 seconds, and it'll pop up the settings screen right here. So once you're here, this is the number that you're looking for. The RID, which is Vicrez212174, and then the one on the right, PW003013. So on your phone, look for that RID number, and you want to click on it. And as soon as you click on it, there's a prompt that says enter the password, and this is the password that you're going to enter, 003013. And once you type that in, it should connect.